Well, look, we're here on another episode of Salient Points number 33. I'm your host, Carlos Macias, host of this fine program. Make sure to go to wegotcoms.com. And what were we going to say? We're going to start talking about click the link to subscribe, all that other fun stuff, right? Like, or something, right? We'll get that going.
We just need to get the... Do we have an official YouTube channel? Do we?
Yeah, we've been having it. You keep trying to...
No, I said an official YouTube channel.
Yes,
I'm not
we
just
do.
saying we got...
No, yes, we do.
Right.
It's wegotcoms.com. I don't know if we have the actual like URL or something. We gotta be.
See,
we
this
got,
is what I'm talking
we gotta
about.
Get to
it
a
goes
point.
to YouTube, and it's got to have an actual URL. It can't just be like
but you
coms.com and it gets forwarded.
Yeah, Dalan, listen, please, for a moment. Dalan Kirkwood, by the way, he's up in the mountains. You need to pass a certain amount of like subscribers or something like that before you get a URL specific to it. But we'll get there, especially if you guys if you guys are liking and subscribing. No, you don't, Dalan. I can bet you don't have a Dalan Kirkwood or whatever thing. Whatever you think your name is on YouTube, you don't have it. You just don't. Dalan Kirkwood, thank you for joining me, sir.
Okay.
As per usual.
I'll tell you what, learn to clap and then I'll shut up.
Hey, please explain that to the people, Dalan. We clap to synchronize the sounds. Luis.
Okay. I have a channel. I just checked it right now.
We'll investigate through the show. Last week, you spent like 7 minutes trying to go back and forth with Luis, trying to understand something, and you still didn't get to the bottom of it. So, Luis Mendez, thank you for not coming back from the dead, but you are truly alive on this episode. Thank you for joining us, sir.
You just made some fair points.
Some intro we've had so far.
Dare I say salient points, though? Anyways, we'll get right to the show. This is Salient Points number 33 for August 6, 2021. I got the date correct. I was listening to it yesterday. I was like, what? Anyways, so there wasn't too much smoky information, but there was quite a few newsworthy items. The first one of this past week is Nintendo Switch outsells everything and everyone. They're out there drinking everyone's milkshake. I hope you guys understand that reference from There Will Be Blood. But yeah, so Nintendo in their quarterly earnings, they talked about how the Nintendo Switch has sold through 89.04 million copies of the hardware. So they beat the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 lifetime sales. So I feel like that's quite an accomplishment there. And I know we talked about last week about how Sony sold 10. Nintendo said, I'm gonna raise you 90 million. But they've been out for a couple years, right, since 2017. So they've definitely had that right out the gate, right? They've had more time. Other than that, it's kind of cool to see that some of these games, the new releases, have sold quite well, I would say. New Pokemon Snap sold 2.07 million copies. Mario Golf Super Rush, which we played a little bit, right, Dalan? 1.34 million copies. Metopia is 1.04 million, which I don't know if we got to the bottom of that, but I feel like that's a straight up repackaged 3DS game, right? Or some kind of nonsense.
Metopia.
Yeah, but it's the spot pass or street pass thing when you like walk across somebody.
And you would see that little dot, right? That blue thing on your 3DS, and I'm pretty sure that's what was killing my 3DS at the time. Like that's what made it last like 10 whole minutes. Besides that, and then I'll send it over to you guys on your thoughts. This is also becoming a cool is the word repository? Is that what it is? I hope that's the correct word. That for Wii U games. So Super Mario 3D World already outsold the Wii U version, which has really only been out for a few months. It has sold 6.68 million copies versus the Wii U lifetime sales of that game at 5.87 million copies. So it's and this is like a trend. They've re-released games that were during the Wii U failed concept, precursor to the Switch, and now they've re-released them and they've kind of blown expectations out of the water, so that's nice to see. Dalan, we'll start with you, man. Any thoughts on these sales, on just Nintendo they just destroying the competition out here?
Well, this is what I was talking about. I think I actually did mention it last week.
You did. I'll give you credit.
Because we were talking about the PS5 sales, and we were talking about the Xbox sales, and then I was like, well, what about Nintendo? Don't worry about Nintendo. They're doing just fine. Every single time. As soon as you find out what their numbers are, you're like, whoa, hold on.
Course.
They've been ahead of the game. I mean, that's fine. We knew they were ahead of the game. We don't need to talk about it. You just need to know.
You already know. I feel like inside everyone's heart, they already know. Like you already know. Like Nintendo's
You already know.
They're not messing
Nintendo's
around.
not going anywhere anytime soon.
So and it's kind of one of those things where you see them do just a little incremental update, right? With the SWOLED. I like that Wario64 calls it the SWOLED. So they just do little incremental updates, and it's like, we don't need the 2.0 version just yet, right? It would splinter their market even further. So I think if they release that too soon. What are your thoughts, Luis, on the sales, on the Wii U game re-releases, whatever, man?
Yeah, I wonder what Sony would classify Miitopia as when in comparison to Returnal. Returnal was a smash hit, and Miitopia sold more than twice the amount.
You know what though? I appreciate that, man, because that's some straight up bullshit. Talk about exceeded our expectations, 500,000 copies, a smash hit. Did they really say smash hit? I'm pretty sure.
They said something like that.
Wow.
Maybe it's a smash hit based on the fact that it's a new IP and not really well known.
So
Possibly. Yeah,
for Miitopia, it is just a matter of they've had the Miis for quite some time. And now they have or at least for this, I guess the 3DS, they had that Miitopia thing going for that at the time. Is this combined with the original
Dalan, we'll call Miitopia what it is. Some straight up bullshit, dude. It was a free. It was a free. I think it was free, right, Luis? I think it was a free 3DS game, and these guys said, Nintendo said, just slap it onto a disc or a cartridge, sell it for $60. These suckers won't know any better, and it's gonna sell better than Sony's smash hit Returnal. We got this
console attach rate.
It's got a better attach rate. But no, Miitopia is copies of the game, man. 1.04 million, dude. I know, it's kind of ridiculous, dude. But look, one thing I'm happy for, though, is the Wii U was a disaster. So I'm happy that they're re-releasing these other games. They need to re-release the Metroid Prime trilogy, which was that on Wii? I think that, they need it. I think it was on Wii. I don't think it was on Wii U, but you could definitely play it on the Wii U. You were able to download it at some point. So the Wii U has its uses, but not that many. It's shrinking. The reasons why you still need a Wii U is shrinking as long as they keep re-releasing this thing. So if you guys were wondering, or if you were concerned, then like Dalan said, they're doing just fine, and they're drinking everyone's milkshake. The other news, we got a little bit of more news on the PlayStation VR2. Dalan, I know you saw, you checked out the video. It was like a breaking news. Is a YouTube guy. Did you get the name, by the way, Dalan, of the guy that did it? Should give him credit, but
nope, not at all. Okay. Didn't catch that at all.
My bad, YouTube
credit
guy.
To the guy who put that up there, but I didn't catch your name.
What are some of the details, Dan? Anything caught your interest as far as like the new details on this?
I mean, the fact is, we're gonna be getting the PSVR2. I guess they had the code name for it, the NGVR, right? And I don't know much about the code name for the Vita before that came out, but I guess they're going the same route of trying to name
it. Was NGP, Next Generation Portable. That's how much I love the Vita. That these dumb code names I know for it. But yes.
Yeah, that's what's happening with the name for this PSVR2. So it's very possible that the name of the PSVR2 is going to end up changing. The biggest thing for me, because with the original PSVR, it was basically like looking through Vaseline the entire time. It was hard to actually see on that thing.
A little rough, yeah.
But now they've updated it to, and excuse me for not knowing the exact terminology for it previously, the new OLED lenses is going to be in this, so it's going to have that HDR 4K capability. I guess the big thing, yes, in this case it is real 4K, because they're going to have
that's the only way you can
resolution
make OLED with 4K.
That's the only way you should be using OLED. But you got that resolution of 2000 pixels by 2040 pixels. I mean, the moment you hit 2000 pixels, you've hit 4K basically. But they got that field of vision that's apparently wider than the PSVR, I guess the Vive, and what's the name of the other one that's really big on the Quest? The Quest 2, it's actually wider lenses for the than the Quest as well. So you're going to get a larger field of vision, and you're not going to get those nice little bubbles around the side anymore, unless you're like, pterodactyl.
You might still get those though, possibly, or no, or is that a limitation? At least you've worked with VR, right? Like it is part of that circle, I guess, in your vision. Is that part of the limitation, so they can't handle the graphics or anything? Or
no, I think that's just the lenses.
Oh, okay,
that's just the lenses.
Okay.
So now they're wider lenses, so you have less of a chance of that happening. But if you use your peripheral vision, you're probably going to end up getting it anyway. Anyways, another thing that they actually have for it, which was actually a concern of mine when I heard that the PSVR2 was coming out, and the fact that people have argued it with me, is the power source for it. Is it going to be powerful enough, and is it going to like try and overheat with them trying to actually update the graphics for this thing? Apparently, they now have flexible scaling rendering or foveated rendering, whatever you want to call it. So for it, it's going to take a lot of that stress off of the PSVR. So I'm hoping that they're going to be able to make this thing wireless, just straight up. That would be awesome. But in my mind, I'm thinking, no.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. And I mean, when you're tying it into the hardware, part of it is you're drawing on the power of the PlayStation 5, right? So, I mean, I would like wireless too, but I mean, even you can tell with the, I have the Oculus Quest, you could tell it's not running super high graphics or whatever, as, if you're playing.
So if they actually do keep it wired, which again, we assume that it's going to, they're now going to have the haptics tracking, haptics and eye tracking for this thing, which is a big up step from the original PSVR. I think I complained about it enough time, how they were using the stupid ball tracking. They're getting rid of that and moving on to haptics finally.
Well, we've talked about it too, right? We talked about it too, how they're basically copying the touch controllers from the Oculus Quest, which is fine. They should rip them off. Throw that other technology in the trash.
Now, the one question I have about the new controllers, because they basically look like the Oculus Quest controllers, but my question is this: they call them capacitive touch sensors, where it can actually sense how close you are to the actual joysticks. Is that a thing that's also on the Quest?
The Quest is just like each button has a touch, so it can detect when you're touching a button versus actually pressing it. They have like distance to a button.
Yeah, they're doing some new stuff with this one, right? But it's we'll see it, right? When we get hands on.
And I bet you all the money in the world that with all these new updates that they're making to their PSVR, there's not going to be one publisher that I could think of that actually takes advantage of all this stuff.
Well, I mean, when you see them take advantage of this stuff, it's pretty much out the gate. Right, like with the Vita, some of the first games that came out for it were like technical showpieces, right? Where it's like, touch the back of the console, touch this, do that, use the camera. So if you want that, which even with the PlayStation 4 and it has a touchpad, a lot of the games started doing the map where you kind of can scroll around with it at the beginning. Then after a while, they were like, "It's just a big ass button. It's not. Let's not joke. Let's not joke with each other." Even now, man, on the PlayStation 5, some of the games that have come out really don't. They don't
really use the haptic controllers as much as they could.
Yeah. So as far as part of it, I think, is compatibility, right? They want to launch on the PlayStation VR and on PC and Oculus and Index or whatever, and they all don't have the same tech.
You say this, and you made me actually think that most people forget that the back of the Vita is a touch screen.
I just said that. I mean, I literally just said that, but you're welcome.
Is that what you said? Okay. Because, I know you were talking about the fact that they had a bunch of features that only really happen when you first launch it. The only game that I could really think of that even used that feature was the Uncharted game that came out.
And that came out pretty much at launch. Thank you for making my point. So we should be getting more launch details, right? Is what the video also said, early 2022. So that we should
it should have said the future of it, and like they don't really have any fully confirmed games, but they have some in the works. But and that was about as far as we got.
Any thoughts on that, Luis? Before we move on to the next thing here.
No, you guys kind of touched on everything.
Are you?
We covered it, Carlos.
Hey, are you excited about you continuing to work in the VR space and adding PSVR2 in your repertoire or NGVR? I'm sorry.
Ooh, developing for the PSVR and PS4 was a nightmare. So I'm hoping that this should be better. This is a way more powerful console, so the development should be a lot better. If I ever get on a project that's
working on that.
But,
okay.
Yeah,
so that on your end, that's what your hope would be, that they make it smoother or a little easier to develop on compared to the.
Yeah, it was just harder to meet the specs or the limitations for that stuff.
All right, so
I never got my PSVR adapter. You know what's funny? I went to the homie Genicell's house a couple of days ago, and he gave away his PSVR because he was so mad because the PlayStation services would not send him the adapter because they said that it was already sent. It was like, I never got it. So can you resend it? They're like, no, we're not going to resend it.
Can you, instead of sending it to Dylan, can you send it to me? That's what he should have said. I don't need a P.O. box situation. I'm not in the mountains.
No. This wasn't for me. This was
I get
for
it.
the homie
I know. That's why I said he should have said, give me the one you didn't send to Dalan. Send it to me. Look, I will say this.
Okay.
I will say this. I don't know about the next VR system, especially a PSVR version. They got to convince me, man. They got to show me something. They gotta show me something nice. Luis, what's your big story, man? Do you have a big story for this past week?
Yeah. So this week it seems like Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals got a confirmed release for PlayStation 4 and 5. So this was originally announced for the Switch with a 2021 release date. They're running out of time.
We're almost there.
Yeah. So lead writer of Oxenfree, and I guess now he's co-writer on Lost Signals, Adam Hines, recently confirmed it with the PlayStation blog post. And he said that Oxenfree 2 is going to follow the same main character from the first one, Riley. And this will kind of be what happens after the first one. Did either of you two play the first one at all?
I'd never even heard of this game.
I've heard of it. Every time I looked at it, it looked like squares in the background or whatever. Or not squares, triangles, like multiple triangles. And I was like, nah.
All right,
Game Pass, give me the next thing.
The first one too much then, but it kind of just follows what Riley kind of deals with the decisions or what happens after the first one. They didn't really give many details on the full story, and the writer even said, sorry, we can't share much, but we're really eager to sort of share details on the new characters, locations, villains, he said. So
were you a fan? You liked the first one? You were a fan of that one?
Yeah, I will say I was kind of timid when looking at it too. Like I would see it on the Switch store every once in a while. I'm like, okay, what's up with these big ass triangles? Like I don't know what
I gotta check this out. I gotta check this out.
Yeah, then it was on sale at one point, so I got it.
At this point, is it worth actually buying? Should I go?
It's on Game Pass, Dalan. It's on Game Pass, dude.
All right, well, either way goes. Should I spend my time playing it? That's my question.
All of a sudden,
it's a pretty short game. Yeah, you could beat it if you like. So the mechanics mostly revolve around kind of moving between different spaces of the map and using you have like this sort of radio signal, like radar thing that detects different like sort of rifts in the paranormal world. And the game sort of revolves around they have like this dialogue conversation system, so you could have different sort of branches of dialogue with each different character depending on like what space you're in or what the situation is in the room. And then you can kind of end up with your own sort of story that way. But it's a really interesting mechanic of just like, it's basically just having conversations. But
you got me on the it's pretty short, man. Critical Path. How much time we're thinking on the Critical Path?
I beat it in like 8 hours, and I kind of spent my time.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. 8 hours for
Carlos.
Okay.
That's if you that's
don't give me the math, Dalan.
Don't
give me the math.
I was gonna say if you don't know what you're doing, it's 8 hours. I beat Metal Gear Solid in 8 hours, so that was that could be a very short game.
Unrelated, but that's fine.
No,
so we'll move on.
It's very related. It's the same time frame. Anybody tells me it takes 8 hours, I'm like, oh, that's about the amount of time it took me to beat Metal Gear Solid, my first playthrough, not knowing anything. That's pretty short.
Wow.
Game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a short game. I'll check it out. It's on Game Pass. Then if you're so interested, I keep seeing the triangles. I just like,
I just looked at a little trailer right now. I looked at a little announcement trailer, and pretty much a Bermuda Triangle showed up on the screen. I was like, man, they're tearing down
spoilers. Let me stop you right there before you keep spoiling shit, Dalan. All right. So the quick stories for the past week are so we were talking about hardware earlier. The PlayStation 5 is no longer, or the $500 version of the PlayStation 5 is apparently no longer selling at a loss, which is, I guess, kind of nice. Sony can finally profit off of this thing. Sony CFO Hiroki Totoki said that they've secured it. He also said they've secured enough semiconductors to achieve its fiscal year target of selling 14.8 million PS5s. That's kind of great. I do kind of like that they came out with the audacity, and I'm sure they're asked about it. This was on an earnings call, right? But I do like the fact that it was like, no. We're good. We got the chips we need. Don't you worry. We will get these systems out to you. Dalan, what are your thoughts on this, man? Either on them no longer selling at a loss or them securing them chips.
I like the fact that you said he also said this. I'm glad he said he made more than one statement in one day. But
because I think there's like two different stories I just kind of combined in there. They're two separate things.
Either way it goes, it's fine. You covered its ground. Really, I'm just actually happy for the PlayStation 5 actually selling at a profit rather than a loss, because with a new system and me actually enjoying the PlayStation just in general, even though, yes, Xbox is doing better with their services, I do want to see a PlayStation 6 at some point. So I really don't want the PlayStation 5 to fail in any kind of way. And obviously, that's not the case. Have
you tried to buy one, Dalan? Do you think they're failing? Have you tried to buy one?
Hey, there's a difference between failing and not being available due to a pandemic. All right. So, but even with it not being available in the middle of a pandemic, they're still doing great, apparently. So I'm glad that they were able to to traverse ground and make sure at least some people were getting.
They were most definitely wading water. They were definitely, or is it wading or threading? Water. Is it threading water? Which one is it? Help me, Dalan.
It's wading the water or treading in water, but they're wading the water. That's when.
So both. All right. Well, look, Sony's doing good. It's like it always happens, right? When you launch a hardware, it's always at a loss, and eventually it gets a little cheaper. Except that PS3, dude, you were supposed to get a second job for a while there, and that thing was not
that $600 launch,
dude. That thing, and I think it was costing them more. I gotta kind of go back and look at the details, but apparently that PlayStation 3 was like it would cost $600 to the humans, us, but I think it was costing them like $700 or something to actually produce or some kind of thing like that. So that thing was an albatross, dude, like the definition of an albatross, but they survived it. They did it. The other people trying to survive out here is, of course, the Battlefield franchise. EA CEO Andrew Wilson said that releasing a new Battlefield game every 2 years is, quote, probably makes sense, unquote. And he said this at their first quarter earnings on Wednesday. He also said that the Battlefield portal, quote, really forms a foundation of what we believe the future of live service around Battlefield is, end quote. And besides that they're kind of setting up this Battlefield portal to kind of give us more of this game, more of this action. They also said they're going to release a short film called Exodus on August 12th. It's supposed to be a prelude to the multiplayer online. I really hate that idea. I mean, are you guys freaking kidding me with this crap? You're gonna give us a little like 5-minute clip. It's like, here's your campaign. No, it's not a campaign.
Wait, are you sure it's only 5 minutes?
I don't, whatever it is, man. 10, 15, doesn't matter. Give me a 5 hour, give me a 3 hour campaign. I would have bought that game, because I think Call of Duty was like 4 or 5 hours. I bought it. I was in. Or Cold War. Call of Duty Cold War was like 5 hours, so I'm good. Luis, what do you think on this, man? On any on the portal releasing every other year?
Those were actually my exact same thoughts when I saw Exodus. Initially, I thought, "Oh, cool, a short film," and then I thought, "Wait a minute, so this is our story? You know, we're not getting a campaign. We're getting a little." You know, they said short film, so it could be anywhere between 5 to maybe 15, 20 minutes. But either way, it's not a campaign, Dalan. That's what we mean.
No.
Come on, Dalan, get it together, please.
No, well, hold on. I didn't even get to respond. Let me defend myself.
Well, ain't nobody saying nothing, Dalan. Continue.
All right, so my thing about this is that I wouldn't, because I don't follow Battlefield like Luis does, obviously. But I also did not know that it was going to be a live service game. Additionally, I just found out about this Battlefield Portal like 2 days ago. And I was like, what is Battlefield
Even though we've
Portal?
like talked about it for like 3 weeks.
No, you guys have talked about it.
Even though Luis keeps shitting on it, it's like, Carl, stop adding it to the rundown. Like, stop it. But go ahead, Dalan. But go ahead.
No, it's like you guys talked about it, but I didn't actually understand it until a few days ago. And I was like, man. So it's just basically all the Battlefields put into one place, and they're just gonna keep this game. Then why would they ever make another Battlefield? And would it ever be any better than this? Obviously, this is just a major mashup. It's like trying to throw all the Ninja Turtles from every single time into one single game. It doesn't work that well.
And the G.I. Joes too. And throw them in there, the Master Ninjas. Or whatever
you might called. As well. You just throw whatever you want in it at this point. There's no point in making. I feel that this is going to just muddle up what Battlefield should be.
Well, or it's exactly what it is and should be. I mean, it really has been a multiplayer game, right? They've just over time have added campaigns to it, but since the very beginning it was basically multiplayer, right? And I think this is going to be one way that they'll launch it with Battlefield 2042, right? But that they will set up the platform for it, right? Because I think Call of Duty has sort of done a similar thing with the Battle Royale? Warzone, and they've kind of set it up to where there's a through line through, even though there's a new release every year, there's still sort of a cohesiveness. There's still like a platform there, and I think we'll see, right? We'll see if they can pull it off. I don't like this crap about like we're gonna give you a short story, short film.
Hey man,
but,
there's no campaign, there's no story. There's just Exodus. It's like, let me give you the setup, and that's it. Go deal with this as you can.
That's really what it is, right? To give you some context as to why you're in the air, in the sky, or whatever. And I don't like
for everybody else, you might as well have just been like, we're not going to do a short film. This is just going to be Battlefield. Go play it. That's all you need to know. Like, okay.
Yeah, but Go ahead.
Well, let me ask you guys this. If they did not announce this short film, if they weren't going to do a short film at all, if they weren't even going to explain any portion of a campaign, would you have played this game anyway?
No, and I'm not gonna do it either now. Like I'll watch the clip, I guess, if you know. All right,
so
but
so for your thought process, do you think other people would have went to play this game even without this video?
I think people are convinced, dude. I mean, look, I fully understand and accept that I'm kind of an outlier. People play multiplayer games, right? That's why we haven't gotten a new GTA 6 because people go into the multiplayer. Right, we've been hearing for years how people open up their Call of Duty and the first thing they do is boot up multiplayer. They never touch the campaign, right? So,
yep.
But I think the interesting case and the Call of Duty one is that we did see is that at one point they did remove the campaign, and the very next year they're like, my bad, our bad. We're gonna give you a campaign. It's a short one, but it's fine.
Add one.
but so I don't know. I mean, as far as Battlefield, it's kind of like they've been doing campaigns, and they're gonna find out if the fans really care about a campaign or not. For the next one, we'll see if let's bring it back. Let's give them at least a couple hours.
I guess for the true fans of Battlefield, they will not care about the campaign.
Yeah, I think people are sold, man. I honestly kind of. I mean, maybe I don't think it convinces anyone that, for example, if the holdout was that you're not getting it because it doesn't have a campaign, I don't really think this helps. Like you're already sold. This just kind of gives you an extra like little motivation to like, oh yeah, that's what's happening. But who cares? You're playing multiplayer, and it's a mishmash. You're able to kind of throw around everything from the whole franchise. So, Luis, before we move on, any final thoughts?
Dragon Breath, Lewis. What you got?
Why you hitting?
Oh, damn! It's a Dragon Breath.
Yeah, I saw that vaping over there. That smoke came in loud and clear.
Okay, Dalan, way to call him out like that. Okay, Luis, anything else on before we move on?
Yeah, it is just kind of weird that they typically use the campaign as the setup for why two people are fighting each other, right? So you have the campaign, and you have, like, for instance, on Battlefield 1, you have the different sides that fought in World War 1. So you have, like, okay, so the enemy team is this nation, and well, I guess it all depends on which side you're playing, right? But those are like the two sort of quote unquote factions, or four factions, depending on what map you're playing on. So yeah, maybe that's all this, like, sort of Exodus thing is going to be. It's just like, these are the two sides.
Yeah, it's just the setup, right?
Yeah, I heard it was just the Americans and the Germans or Russians, one of those two. I heard that's all they're doing in this case.
Racial, but that's fine. But that's why you're gonna watch the clip, Dalan. That's why you're gonna watch the clip to find out.
Yes, it is racial, but that's what it was.
Okay. What also might be racial is the Ascent generates $5 million in revenue, and it tops the Steam global sales charts. If you guys don't know, it's kind of like the co-op multiplayer game. It's a twin stick shooters. It reminds me a little bit of Geometry Wars, even though we've had more realistic-ish twin stick shooters, right, in recent times. But I remember that kind of blew it up a little bit. Now, the interesting thing to me is the fact that this game is actually quote-unquote free with Game Pass, yet it sold copies or made the money. It's strictly on sales of an Xbox and PC version of it. We've been playing a little bit. We've been having fun with it. It's kind of janky. It's a little, there's a lot of jank going on. More than a little jank, but I think we've been having fun. I'll speak for myself. I think I've been having fun with it. But
actually,
Dalan,
having a little bit of fun with it.
We'll go to you, Dalan. What are your thoughts on this? The fact that these guys are making cash outside of Game Pass.
I think just based on that, it's more so that people may just not have known that the game was going to be free on the Xbox Game Pass. Because I'll tell you what, when we decided to do it, we found out like the day of when we decided to play the Ascent that it was going to be free.
I did not find day of, actually. I kind of knew about it. I
tell you what, I didn't know, and it sounded like Jeremy Lowe didn't know.
Hey, but that's why Game Pass did. Luis, what do you think, man, as far as the fact that they're making cash out here besides Game Pass?
Man, that multiplayer is broken.
I did say Luis, but that's fine, Dalan. You can.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was just a comment. Go ahead, Luis.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. The fact that it is a quote unquote free game, but it still generated $5 million. I mean, this just came out a week ago, right? So, yeah, that's pretty awesome for those guys. But it is pretty rough around the edges. I mean,
that's very
all
rough.
That being said, we're playing through all the jankiness. Like, we're not letting it sort of stop us. I mean, I only played with you guys, I think, once, but I'm still playing it solo, or trying to.
And our favorite.
Were you able to do any of the main events or main missions?
I see the main mission, and it doesn't give me a waypoint.
You know what you need to do is you need to go by that store, the Clune store. Clune. The spelling on there is like, what is it? CLOONE. Clune. But yeah, so we had it on our What You've Been Playing, but I think we're pretty good. Either we'll touch on it a little bit more in a little while. But the Ascent, I'm happy to see that people are like, I think sometimes people get in their minds like, I want to support this developer, and sometimes I'm kind of like, yeah, that's great, but I mean, you're supporting them just by playing it, and it's on Game Pass, and they get a cut of that. But it's nice to see that, okay, here we go. We're selling $5 million worth in revenue of this game besides Game Pass. The other thing, Deathloop, I see the correction here. Deathloop goes gold. Originally, the game was supposed to come out holiday 2020, but it looks like it'll be dropping in September. It's an Arcane. We've talked about it before. It's an Arcane game, so I don't know how I feel about it quite yet. It does look cool, though. Luis, what are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I know how excited you are for this one. We got a roguelike from Arcane, so like I know you're gonna get that day one on GameFly for sure. But I still find it interesting that it's probably just a way for them to generate revenue while they're developing it, because it's getting delayed. But since the PS5 came out, this game has been on and off on sale on the PlayStation Store, like already before it even came out.
Okay.
So they have like price drops every once in a while. There might be one right now, but yeah, I just think that's kind of funny. I will check this game out. I'm not repelled by roguelikes as much as you are. So
I think, dude, I think it's a combination of two things, man. First of all, yes, Arcane. the roguelike, and then Arcane. I played their other games. They fool you once.
I liked Prey.
Shame on me. Fool you twice. Oh wait, the other way around. You know what I'm saying, Dalan. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I'll definitely. It looks cool enough I'll give it a shot. But I've played their games. We'll see how they do. It looks pretty awesome. The other thing, Back for Blood is an open beta that went live on Thursday, August 5th, and it'll continue till August 9th. Now, the thing with this one is that it's only if you pre-ordered, if you bought the game, you get access to it. But it does become available for everyone August 12th, which is that's pretty quick. That's around the corner. I'm just gonna wait, instead of messing around with like pre-ordering or whatever. It does look kind of cool. I hope we can play it. We could try it out when the beta goes live. Luis, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, this might be one of those games that we can all play regardless of platform. I'm pretty sure this is cross-platform, so that'll be interesting if we can, Jeremy's on Steam, I'm on Epic Games or whatever, you're on PlayStation, so
I've got choices now.
We got
unless your computer doesn't like crap out on you, Dan, like it did with the Ascent.
Hey, it did not crap out on me. The Ascent crapped out on my computer. That's not my fault.
Let's blame the game now.
New World, Dalan.
What is this? New World, Dalan? It's not New World.
MMO New World.
They just delayed that thing too, man. Talking about 9,000,
not
9,000. Talking about 9,000 frames on the select screen over here. The other thing, this one I know, Dylan, you have some thoughts on this one. Evil Dead the game has been delayed to 2022. Saber Interactive says that they will further publish the asymmetrical multiplayer game and add a single player mode, which I kind of dug into it a little bit, and I don't think it's like an actual full-on campaign that they're doing. I think they're making it so you play with bots or something like that, which I'm like, I'm a little less excited for that. But it's cool to see that they're adding a little bit more options and polishing it up a little bit. What are your thoughts, Dylan? Is it a big deal that it got delayed, or are you cool with that?
Well, because they actually announced it and gave a reason, I don't think it's as much of a deal as it could be. I mean, the whole reason I was actually happy about this particular announcement is the fact that they told us that they're going to be improving the game over this time. It's not like, hey, there's something wrong and we haven't.
I will ask you this, though. I will ask you this. I mean, what the hell else would they be doing, Dalan, besides improving the game with the extra time?
Avoiding launches of other games, running out of money. I don't know. There could be a multitude of reasons, and I'm not going to be if they're
running out of money, then they would be launching that shit tomorrow. They're like, hey, we need to recoup some of these costs. Have you looked into the game, like kind of any trailers or gameplay? What has you excited for it?
I did look at the original announcement and first trailer for the game. So I've just been a fan of Evil Dead since Evil Dead. And I'm hoping that it is actually going to be better than the Friday the 13th game. I hope it's going to be better than the Friday the 13th game. I'm hoping that it's going to knock that other game that everybody else has been playing out. What's the name of that?
Dead by Daylight. Yeah.
Dead by Daylight. I hope it gets rid of that altogether. I mean, it is Evil Dead, so it's based off of a previous IP that's already out there. So I kind of doubt that it's really going to knock them off the board. But I'm hoping that it's going to be standing up there with the big leagues because I love me some Evil Dead. I was kind of sad when they ended the series, so I'm hoping that they could just continue the franchise itself in multitudes of ways. Maybe one day they'll actually bring back the series, which is what I really want.
It'll build, build up interest of the franchise, right? And it should kind of it'll go into other avenues, other formats. But I think
that up. But that's
I mean, and I'm trying to get you to move on. The Evil Dead, and it's kind of perfect for that, right? Kind of that's that type of gameplay. So we'll see. It's coming in 2022.
Dead by Daylight getting hit up with the smoke. Why do you want it to get nuked out?
I know, Dalan. I mean, I hate it too. But I mean, it can exist. It's allowed to exist.
It's such a tiresome, repetitive game. Go away.
You know what? What we're finding out that it will be allowed to exist too is a new South Park game. This
possibly.
No, not possibly. Dalan, I mean,
you think the game itself is definitely going to be happening?
Yes, it's part of a
Dalan, give me a moment here. Okay, so a new South Park game is coming, along with good job like doing something with your camera there, Dalan. So the new South Park game, along with the creators of South Park, they landed a huge new deal to make more movies and more seasons of the show on Comedy Central. There's not a lot of details as far as the game is concerned, but there's one coming. The last two, Doris Burke, I didn't mean to take your what is it, your joke or your whatever, but so we don't have too many details. Last we saw a game of South Park was like the Ubisoft published ones, which they're kind of good. If you guys haven't played those, please go ahead and try them. It's crass as hell. If you don't know, if you are like super against the South Park comedy, do not play the game. But the gameplay is kind of nice.
No,
the gameplay is kind of nice.
I'm actually going to cut you off. Even if you're not,
I was done. Dalan, go on with your thoughts.
Even if you're not a fan of the South Park comedy, because I know my wife Nicole, she is not a fan of the South Park comedy, but she actually enjoyed the comedy that was in these games.
Well, but the games are like seeping in that like roughness, which is comedy, right? It's kind of like it'll rub some people the wrong way. I remember playing it. I was like, they're pushing it. I mean, they're wilding out. They're definitely no children should be around while you play this game. But no. I do like that it was a legit game. It was sort of grid based, right? Grid based RPG type of game. You level up, and it's a nice little game.
Well, the second one was grid based.
Yeah. Luis, what are your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, that's kind of wild. I mean, from now up until 2027, like we can expect six movies or something?
Wow, yeah, they're saying that
14 movies. They had a $900 million deal.
It's okay, so 14 movies.
So 14 movies, 6 seasons. So they're gonna go all the way to season 30 and the game.
And I think I was reading that they're gonna drop 2 movies this year or something like that. I'm like, okay, these are done. They're already in the can. They just gotta release them. So if you're a South Park fan, there you go. Well, and it's one of those shows, right, that they can kind of play into anything, really, right? Like they just and they kind of go off on what's in the news and all that. So they try to usually keep it relevant. So,
do you know anybody that still watches South Park regularly?
I'm sure we could find someone, Dalan, if you throw a rock.
I'm sure you can throw a rock in either direction.
You'll hit someone that watches it. It's a decent, it's a decent show, but it's comedy and it's crass, and that's. But some of it is pretty smart, though. I will say that, even though it's crass, some of it is nice. It's nice. So I'm looking forward to a new South Park game. I think I played both of them, but I'll definitely give this one a shot. Hopefully, it's in that RPG style gameplay. If not, because they've done action games. I don't know if you guys remember, but they did action games on the Nintendo 64, Chef Love Shack or something like that. And then the original one tried to be like GoldenEye. They were trash, super trash. And I played them. I will say that. It's my opinion, right? It's my opinion, but it was my opinion, but they were pretty trashy compared to the RPG ones that they did. So we'll see what they do with that.
They found their niche. Their storytelling is where they thrive.
Yeah. So the next thing on here, Ghost of Tsushima, Ghost of Tsushima Legends. That's the multiplayer component of the single player game. Will have a standalone release. It drops in September. I think it was September 3rd. Maybe I missed the 3 on here. September 3rd for $19.99. So that's $20. Will include the quote-unquote the same Legends content accessible by owners of Ghost of Tsushima. That's according to the PlayStation blog post, which is a little weird, right? Because it's like, just buy the game, like buy the actual game. It comes with the multiplayer component, but I don't know. Luis, what are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts are, I still haven't played this game. I haven't played Ghost of Tsushima, and I think it came out, it caught me at the wrong time. I was playing too many other things, and by the time I was quote unquote ready to play it, it was already a generation behind. So I'm having a hard time.
It's still pretty nice, man. I
didn't play it until I got my PS5, and I still enjoyed it.
Couldn't see anything,
go for it. Huh?
You couldn't see anything, remember? You couldn't see your pickups or whatever? Your screen was too dark?
I think that was just my own issue, but yeah, that might be its own little issue.
Liz, are you sorry, Dalan? I'll go to you after this.
No, it's good. It's good.
Dude, if you like it's a little weird because it's a samurai game and the guy is like a little floaty. If you played Infamous and Sly Cooper game. It's a little floaty, but it's actually pretty good. The swordplay is good. You know, I know there was people I don't think that necessarily like. I think for the most part people like that game though, but it's good, man. It's a nice game. It's an open world samurai, and it looks beautiful. Although like the graphics they're not necessarily pushing it, but it looks nice aesthetically. It's pleasing to the eye. The action's good. So definitely play through that, man. Dalan, before we move on, what are your thoughts on this?
I was just really surprised that they were actually separating the multiplayer from the actual game as a standalone. So I think it's actually a cool idea by itself, because quite honestly, the actual core gameplay for the main campaign, I very much thoroughly enjoyed that. The multiplayer, when we started it, you know it. It was one of those things you jumped in.
I like how you attack me, Dalan. You attack me with your finger pointing. But
yes, go ahead. I'm gonna attack you.
Go ahead, Dalan.
But we started that multiplayer and we're like, man, this does not feel anything like the actual main gameplay. Even though yes, you get a sword and you get to kill people, it just doesn't feel the same. They literally could have just launched that as a separate game to begin with. But now that they're creating more modes and doing it now, I mean, I guess better.
Yeah, I think in a way they might be trying to justify it, right? Like the fact that we're getting the new expansion is supposed to be kind of nice, man. Like it's supposed to actually include a good amount of content to it. So I think they probably feel justified now, right? Because I'm sure they're gonna go into the multiplayer and add stuff to it. Now, the one thing that people should know about this one that I dug into it a little bit more is that you will get like the multiplayer cosmetics and all the items for multiplayer, but you will be missing things that you unlock during the campaign. So that's kind of important to note. Just buy the main game though. I think to be like just buy the main game and you get this,
the whole
right?
thing.
Yeah, you're not getting anything special necessarily from this.
And one thing I will justify, Luis, is that darkness that I talked about. Turns out that I just had my contrast turned way too low because I had the same problem with Resident Evil 8. And I was sitting in a room looking for a freaking item that was somewhere in there, and all I had to do was turn up my brightness. That's all.
Now, did you say it on the podcast, Dalan? That you were having? Okay. So people go back and
that's
listen.
Why they give you an option in the game to adjust the gamma, right?
You
are. Yeah, and I thought it was fine until I got indoors, and then I was like, why is everything so dark?
You are actually supposed to tinker with that, Dalan. You are actually supposed to mess with it.
Well, I thought I was fine.
Well, the other thing that's being tinkered with, apparently, is Diablo Immortal. That's getting delayed to 2022. And this is from slashgear.com. They said Blizzard said that it will take this time to build out both the PvE and PvP content in the game. On the PvE front, we'll see 8-man raids added to the Heliquary system. That feels very made up. With bosses designed around having those 8-man teams take them on. In addition, Blizzard said that it will also be tweaking bounties to be more engaging and fruitful, along with changing challenge rifts to drop upgrade materials that can't be found anywhere else in the game. Luis, this isn't too big of a deal for me, but you seem kind of interested in this. Were you looking forward to Diablo Immortal?
Yeah, sure. I'm looking forward to it, and all that stuff sounds, pretty good. Take your time with it. I don't mind, but this delay is probably the least of their worries right now.
I like it
because we're talking about Diablo, and they're
they got people leaving the office
company.
not working on the game, so maybe that's why it's got a little delay out there. They just their CEO just stepped down or something like that. So,
it's
like delay is an understatement. I feel like it might be definitely
they gotta solve other issues before they.
By the way, have you guys followed that much anymore since last time we've talked about it? Or
man, Warcraft got placed on hold and all their expansions. They were talking about shutting down some of the servers because people were leaving so much. It was a huge thing. It's still ongoing, growing bigger as we speak.
Luis, what are some of the couple of the highlights, I guess, in the last week? I guess
Dalan pretty much said them all right there. Actually, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's people. They got a lot going on over there, so this is just. They should delay. Figure some shit out.
They're not just delaying; they're putting things on straight up hold.
All right, so we'll move on to what you've been playing over here. Lisa, I noticed you didn't put anything down, but you did play the Ascent with us, so I guess we could kind of touch on that a bit, right?
Yeah.
Dalan, we'll start with you, man. What are your thoughts on the Ascent?
Quite honestly, when it comes to multiplayer, it's fun. When I'm playing by myself, I don't see it to be as fun. I mean, after we were done playing the Ascent and finished being frustrated with it, we went to Outriders. We went back to Outriders, and we had a significant amount of fun with that.
We did play that, and we're like, oh, this is how a game is supposed to run, like smooth. But yeah, I mean so I haven't tried it single player. I've only played it with you guys, man. And I know the first time we played it, at some point, Dylan was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm done. And I thought you had rage quit for good, Dylan, but you're willing to go back to it.
Yeah, it was just at that moment I was done. I was like, this is very frustrating. I don't want to deal with this brokenness. Like, stages aren't loading fully when you're trying to get from place to place. There was a room I was trying to get into. I think it was like a kitchen or something. And I could see that there's a box in there. While I'm trying to run in, my character is bamfing back into the hallway. And I'm just like, what is happening? And I'm getting stuck in the walls. And
it's very wacky. But look, you're in a couple drinks, you're playing with your friend, and there's progress, and there's progress, right? There's progress. You can progress. You're leveling up.
I do not know the story at all. Jeremy Lowe was complaining because we were just rushing through it, but I do not know the story at all. And at the same time, I actually don't care what
I was gonna say that I do that game. I know it was like, oh, I'm trying to read this or that. I'm like, I don't. We're just shooting shit, right? Like, we are shooting shit in a cyberpunk world.
Pick up weapons, get new gear, go shoot more shit. That's all you need to know,
dude. And I do this to all the games, but and this one, like, I don't upgrade anything in any game ever. I will go to the end of a game not having gotten into the upgrade menu at all. Unless at some point I start dying too much. I'm like, okay, let me see what I can do to get more. And then, I start realizing crap. Like, Ghost of Tsushima was a similar thing. I was like, damn, I could have been throwing 3 blades. I could have been doing this. I could have been doing that. So this is a similar thing. And Outriders was the other one that I was like, damn, this is cool shit that I haven't dipped into. 15 levels into Outriders, I'm like, oh, I could have had an extra power going on there. But yeah, that's the Ascent. Luis, any thoughts, man, on the Ascent?
For me, it is much more of a grind, so playing solo, and I am getting more of the story, which actually for me is better, because otherwise it just feels like I'm shooting things like a wave shooter, like Nazi zombies or something. Yeah. Because when we were playing us three with Dalan, like, you and I had no clue what was going on. Dalan was the one starting all the quests, and we were just following the green arrow.
Well, and you get pulled around, right? And you get pulled around too, is the thing. Like, if you go into a store or whatever, whoever initiated that, you're pulling everyone in there. Like, what just happened? Why did this just happen?
I will say that we also don't know who is who most of the time, because the person that was pulling the quest forward was Carlos, because he was always off by himself. And I kept thinking you were Carlos, Luis, and we were just having that problem, but it didn't matter.
Look, if you see a guy, I will say this, I don't think we mentioned it before, right? But yeah, because we didn't play it last week, right? Yet. I do remember I was following Dalan somewhere, and he's like, Carlos, come over here. I'm like, all right, I'll go check it out. And then at some point I was like, this doesn't feel right, and my critical path thing is telling me to go somewhere else. I just said, I did a 180. I'm like, nope, this feels like a side quest. I'm not on that mission, Dalan. Let's get the fuck out of here. But it's a fun enough game, dude. I think I'm down to see it through, man. It's 4-player game, so it's perfect to kind of get all the buddies into it, right? So I'm sure we'll keep playing more of that. Have you guys played anything else real quick before I kind of go into a couple other games I've been playing?
No, I actually haven't had time. Okay. So I was lucky to play the Ascent into Rocket League with you, but that's about it.
So I will say, and I'll try to keep it quick too on the games I've been playing. Red Dead Redemption 2, I solved it. My thoughts this week on that game is some of those side missions are pretty damn cool, man. And it's funny to think, I'm not, how do I not spoil it? I'm not trying to spoil it, but some of these side missions, it's funny that you're in the Wild West, but you're doing futuristic shit. Like, you're doing stuff that's like, oh, damn, they threw that in here. That people are doing magic, or there's I hope there's not too much of a time, because I'm not trying to spoil it, but there's time traveling. There's a side mission that you're talking about, time traveling missions. So the side missions, don't sleep on those. They're pretty damn cool. Some of them, they even got like a horror one that I was like, this is not right. This is not correct. So there's some creepy stuff going on, but the main campaign, I liked it. I don't know if I like it as much as the original. I think the original had more of a definitive, like, oh, this is a cool ass ending, mainly because I think you didn't expect it. I think you get to, if you guys know, I won't spoil the original, but at the very end something happens where you're kind of building up to in Red Dead Redemption 2 towards the end, where you're like, oh, well, how are they gonna flip it, or are they gonna do it again? You know, so you're kind of in that, or at least for me, I was thinking, how are they going to end it? Do they do the same thing, or do they flip it on its head? I'll let you guys find out, but I don't know if I felt it. I don't know if I felt it as much as the original. The World Ends With You, I will say, I quit on that game. I'm done. I was like second
week.
Yeah, I was in the second week, like the third week. I'm like, I'm done with this. But I did find out real quick. They did the animation to it, so there's 12 episodes of this thing, and they basically recapped it. That actually helped me to quit that game. Because, like, I'm just going to watch these 12 episodes of this anime. I don't want to keep playing that game. I hope, I'm looking for, I still haven't popped it open from Gamefly, but Neo, The World Ends With You, I still have it waiting for me to open it up. I'll see what they do, man. I'll see what they do with that game. Other than that, I'm getting down with Metroid Zero Mission, the 2004 game. It was the remake of the original Metroid. So good, man. So good. Such buttery smooth gameplay. It's apparently it's really short too. I heard it's like 3 hours, so that's a little upsetting to find out. But it's just buttery smooth. It's got me super hyped about Metroid Dread, man. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go on that one. Any thoughts, guys, before we kind of move on to the zinger here?
Now I'm gonna have to watch The World Ends With You. I don't have to play the game. I can just watch the anime.
I will say, do you have a copy of that game? I didn't even
know that was the thing.
Do you have a copy of that game, Dalan? Or
I do not. I do not. I borrowed it from you, and I didn't even touch it.
I will say, like, watching the animation, it's funny because it's not an exact one-to-one, which they shouldn't be, right? But it's very close to it. But there's some little things where they take a shortcut, or they'll do it in a different way. It's like, wait, that's what they were trying to do in the game? You know, like, but it's a long ass game, dude. I don't know. The gameplay's not I don't like it, man. I think I know it was
you
like.
Sound like you're hurting yourself just thinking about it.
I know, but because it's touch base. It's like touch base, like you're using the stylus or whatever to do all your moves, and it's imprecise, and it's.
And I don't want to.
Yeah, watch the animation, man, and then maybe I guess if you're interested in Neo, right, in the new one, you could play it that way. The zinger for this week. So. McDonald's in Australia for their 50th birthday, they thought it would be a genius idea to kind of give away. I think this was part of a giveaway. A PlayStation controller, as you guys can see, it's a PlayStation controller with fries on one of the handles, and on the other side they have a Big Mac, I'm assuming. This thing, Sony found out about it. It's like, wait a minute. Nah, we're not doing that. And then actually McDonald's had to backtrack their thoughts. Like, no, this leaked out. We weren't gonna do that at all. This was just in the beginning phases, and it leaked out or something. But besides that kerfuffle, which I enjoyed, that come on, dude, you got to talk to Sony or somebody over there about. Let's make a burger and fries controller.
I mean, yeah, the amount of people that came, like, there's definitely some interest for this. It blew up the internet, and they're like, "Oh, no, this was a proposal to Sony that just got leaked. Like, we never even talked to them about this."
Oh yeah, dude, and people are just like into like whatever weird little things like this, right? Luis, would you be interested in this controller, man? Like,
I would definitely buy one.
Give it to me.
Just for the sheer stupidity of it, the limited edition in this of it, because you would get that, and you expect that it would be no longer on the market like a week later. You're gonna have to pre-order that controller.
It looks.
I want it.
It looks so dumb, dude. But yeah, you're right. I would take it.
Never use it. I would just have it just to have it.
I would use it while I'm eating my McDonald's fries and my Big Mac, like so, just to be in line with the branding. You feel me?
And man, I'm waiting for that Subway controller.
You know the bread is made out of yoga mats, Dalan. You know that, right?
It's not exactly real tuna.
I like how these guys get hit up all the time. Like, no, our shit is real. Like, it's just the patty looks weird, but it's good. It's all good, bro. So it's not yoga mat. It's not yoga mat derivatives in our bread. It's fine. So that's been Salient Points number 33 for this week. I'm Carlos Macias. Thank you guys for joining us. Click and subscribe and all that good stuff, I suppose. Dalan Kirkwood, thank you for joining me again, sir, from up in the mountains.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
okay,
sir.
I like that. Luis Mendez, not back from the dead. He's been alive for a while now. He's been good and alive for a little while. Yeah. Thanks for joining us, sir, Luis Mendez. We got to check out, what is it, Father Time Restaurant or something at some point too, man. We got to do that.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's around here.
Yeah. We'll check out. And maybe we take Dalan, but he's sometimes a little belligerent.
Whoa, hold on.
We'll see you guys next week. That was the show. See you later.
You cut that shit off immediately.